Well, hey, Bethany Church. Again, obviously, this is Matt, and I want to welcome you to day 2 of our journey together this week as we're looking at seeking to live more on target in the area of our finances. Yesterday's video blog, I took a few minutes to try and summarize our teaching from this past Sunday, in which we looked at 5 different areas, key principles in a sense that we need to look at very closely if we want to begin to live more on target in the area of our finances. And as I mentioned in yesterday's video blog, what I'm going to be doing the rest of the week is taking one of each of these principles each day and developing it a little bit further. And so today I'm going to be talking about the area of eliminating and reducing, but also eliminating the debt in our lives. As I mentioned, Sunday, debt can be incredibly trapping experience and incredibly suffocating experience, frankly, for a lot of us, dealing with consumer debt, dealing with car loans and credit cards and those kinds of things. And so what I want to do today is to try and introduce you to something that is quite a simple idea or principle, but is quite difficult actually to embrace and put in practice. And so I want to introduce this to you and just encourage you and challenge you to really begin to look very closely at the subject of debt in your life and to begin to get aggressive to not just, again, reduce it, but eliminate it. What I want to introduce you to is the idea of the debt snowball. This is something that I've heard about in a number of different places. Dave Ramsey is one teacher that talks a lot about this idea. But again, the principle is quite simple. The practice of it is difficult. The first thing you have to do, which is quite painful, is to sit down and to put out before you everybody that you owe. I mean, everybody that you owe, whether it's your parents or whether it's a department store or whether it's a credit card company or auto financing, even your mortgage, whatever it might be, and to put all that debt before you and to write it down on paper, let yourself see it and understand who are all the people that you owe money to. Now, there are a couple of different ways that people approach this, but essentially what I then would encourage you to do is to put those debts in order of the least amount that you owe all the way down to the greatest amount that you owe. Now, other people would recommend that you start with the amount that you owe that has the highest interest rate and start there. And that is completely, there's a lot of wisdom to that. I'll tell you my reasoning for starting with the smallest amount that you owe is I really believe, unfortunately, that we just need encouragement in this thing. And I think as we begin to see goals accomplished before us, that it helps us to gain courage to continue to go after some of those bigger debts. And so when you're able to get some small victories in the beginning, eliminating some of those smaller debts, I just think it gives you a tremendous amount of encouragement to keep going. So that's my reasoning, is to take all the people that you owe, list them out, list out who they are, what the amount is that you owe, and not only the minimum payment, but also the total debt that you owe these people, and to list it out. Now, I want to illustrate this up here on the board, and again, everybody's example is going to be different than this, but let me just illustrate what this might look like. You may owe Best Buy, possibility. You may owe Best Buy some money. Perhaps it is a balance of $500 that you owe, and your minimum payment is $30 a month. Capital One, you may owe them $1,500, and your minimum payment is $60 a month. The U.S. Bank, you owe them $4,000, big trip to Vegas, and you owe them $90 a month. And then your car loan, you owe $6,200 on it, and your minimum payment each month is $250. So the idea of the debt snowball then is, again, the way I've set it up is to start with the smallest balance and move down towards the largest. But the idea is for you to begin to look at your finances, begin to look at your budget, and get crazy, get radical, but you need to free up, $100, $200, $300, $400, whatever you can do, free up some money in your budget. Again, the way that you can do that is either reduce your expenses or increase your income. Reducing your expenses, you may need to cut out internet at home or cable at home or your cell phone or eating out or Starbucks. You might need to cut out some things that will be painful for a season, but again, without vision, the people cast off restraint. When you get vision for reducing and eliminating your debt, it will give you the ability to restrain yourself in those areas and to live with that vision before you. So you begin to look at your budget. Noemi and I just did this week, and we identified that we're going to drop our health club membership. I'm already in such good shape. I obviously clearly don't need a health club. That's a joke. I get winded going up the stairs. But we just recognize that's a value for us. But for this season, we need to eliminate that in order to meet the goals that we have financially. Secondly, we looked at it and said, we need to cut back our cable. we're spending way too much in that area. So starting next month, that's an area that we're going to cut back. Each of us is going to be different, but the principle is the same. Free up some money. Free up at least a couple $100 in your budget so that you can begin to target that money towards this idea of the debt snowball. Now you might say, I've looked at my budget. I don't have the ability to free up that kind of money. You know what? That may be valid. That may be appropriate for where you're at right now. But what you need to look at then is increasing your income. You might need to go and get a part-time job. You might need to go and get a paper route. I mean, just a couple $100 can make a huge difference in us being able to reduce and eliminate the debt in our lives. So let's just say, for the sake of illustration, let's just say that we've freed up $200 from our budget that we are going to use to reduce and eliminate the debt in our lives. So what we do is we begin with the first debt that we have on our list here. We start with Best Buy. Right now we've got a minimum payment of $30 a month. What we're going to do is we're going to take that $200. We're not going to go on a shopping spree. We're going to use that $200 and we are going to add that to our minimum payment to Best Buy. And what we're going to be able to do is just over 2 months, we're going to be able to knock out this debt completely. The $500 is going to be gone. Just over 2 months, by adding that $200, targeting it, keeping up with our other minimum payments, we're going to be able to get rid of this debt in just over a couple of months. Then what we are going to do is, first of all, we're going to do a little plastic surgery and get rid of this so that we don't find ourselves back in debt. But then what we're going to do is we're going to add this $230 to Capital One payment, and we are going to come up with $230 plus $60. We're going to have $290 a month that we are going to target towards getting rid of this debt. And so right around 5 months' time, we are going to be able to eliminate our debt with Capital One. Again, keeping up with our other minimum payments. Then what we will do, once we're done with this, again, a little bit of plastic surgery, then we take this $290, we add it to 90, we end up with $380 that we're able to target towards our U.S. bank payment, and in less than a year, around 11 months, we are going to be able to eliminate this entire debt using this principle of the debt snowball. Just under a year, we're going to be able to eliminate this entire credit card debt that we have with U.S. Bank. And then we take that $380, we add it to the $250, and if my calculations are correct, we end up with about $630. We target that $630 towards our GMAC, our loan for our automobile. We focus it on this. We eliminate this debt also in less than a year, in about 11 months' time. So you add this up, in about 2.5 years, we have been able to, just by simply freeing up about $200 in our budget, we have been able to eliminate all of this debt. And then what we do is we apply the other principles of learning how to act our wage and embrace the discipline of a budget and choose to begin to commit to saving for those unexpected things that perhaps could get us back into debt. We embrace those other principles, and then we are freeing up all of this money to be able to pour into planning for our future, giving generously, and also, in a sense, beginning to get greater vision for how we can use our resources to honor the Lord. So, very simple principle and idea, but again, a principle that is quite difficult for us to embrace. So your challenge in this is, first of all, go back and look and say, what is the debt that we have before us? What is the debt? Who are the people that we owe? Gain clarity on that. And then begin to look and get aggressive, get crazy, look at your budget. How can you reduce your expenses? How can you increase your income? How can you free up some money in your budget that you can target towards your debt and begin to eliminate that? Proverbs 29:18, for lack of a vision, the people cast off restraint. Get vision for this, and I really believe you're going to be able to choose to embrace the discipline that's going to be necessary to see that debt reduced from your life. God bless you.